We are Team Intellisense. I'm Mike. This is Perry, Josh, and Jackie. And the Coast Guard is our sponsor, and they gave us the original problem statement of how to track vessels that are carrying drugs in real time. And over the course of the class 107 interviews, we came to the realization that they need a better tool to analyze past captures to achieve more successful interdictions of drug cartels. So a little bit more about the Coast Guard. They have 11 statutory missions, and it runs from everything from search and rescue, maritime safety, fisheries enforcement, and of course the drug enforcement, amongst others. They have a dual role between the Department of Defense, which they're organized under, and then they also fall into the law enforcement by working for the Department of Homeland Security, except in times of war. On the California coast, there are a lot of other agencies that have a role or a stake involved in this. That includes the San Diego Police Department, the California Office of Emergency Services, and then the Customs and Border Patrol. The problem is a really big one, mostly because of the space and the resources that are available. There are only 3 sectors of the Coast Guard that can help split up the problem amongst 400 miles of coastline. So not only is the coast very long, but the area of water that they have to cover is just immense. Our first attempt at solving this problem is an interactive map to predict where smugglers would be and show the friendly vessels. But as we showed this to our interviewees, we realized that it might not be just a tech problem, that there are other issues involving the relationships between people and how they work to solve this problem together. We needed to get out of the building in order to figure that out, and we went down to San Diego, Los Angeles, and Long Beach, and spoke to the Coast Guard there as well as a bunch of other players to find the answer, we thought. So we realized, hey, there's a lot of players involved, morale's going up, and we saw how many competing interests there were and how this just wasn't going to solve anything for anybody that's trying to solve this problem. So in another time, we were speaking with retired General Barry McCaffrey, who was the coordinator of drug policy under President Clinton, and he said, coordinating assets is great. That's not the real problem. The real problem is in prevention and education. And so that got us thinking about how can you actually solve a problem like this. We realized that we needed to look at the culture. So we kept on going and shifted in the beneficiaries and tried to get everybody onto the same page through a policy. From a pivot from the predictive interactive map into the policy. Only thing is, it's not the same thing as a cultural change. The Department of Homeland Security, when it was established after 9/11, it already has cross-agency cooperation enshrined in its law and in its charter.
So unfortunately, it's super hard to change the culture of agencies in just 10 weeks. So I realized instead of looking at all these different agencies and trying to get them to work with each other, what if we just looked at one agency, just the Coast Guard, and understood how do they do their patrols? Is there a problem that we can solve that's more specific here? And then we talked to a chief patrol officer, and he told us this. Hey, it's Saturday. There's 75 miles of coastline, and we want to know what route to take. Maybe we'll just go where the best fish tacos are. And we were mind blown. There could be $100 million of drugs that are being smuggled in, and we're going to patrol for that by following the fish tacos. So we knew there's something that we could do to improve this. So we went up to Sector San Francisco and Alameda to talk about this problem and to think, who are beneficiaries? If we develop a tool, who's going to actually use it? And what is mission achievement for them? And they satisfied us on all counts. They told us that in the past year, there were 50 missed vessels on the coast. And if they could catch just 5 of them, that would be mission achievement, 10%. But most importantly, we learned who our beneficiary was. It was not going to be the people on the boats, it was going to be the patrol coordinators who get the information about where the vessels that are smuggling drugs might be, and then can tell the patrollers where to go. So now that we knew our beneficiaries, we decided to go back to our MVP and put everything that we knew on that MVP. So we had, in the red X's, where the vessels might land, prediction. We also had scheduling. So we have a timeline over time, how the schedules change across these different agencies. We weren't ready to let go of that yet. And we got great feedback. A commander told us this visual representation is awesome. But at this point, our ship was really frozen because we had scheduling, we had prediction. They're both super complicated problems. We can't do both of them. And how do we choose? And we were more concerned that if we pick one of them, what if we choose wrong? What if we solve a problem that's not actually a problem or that we can't solve? And so this is when our morale was at its lowest point. What if we make a mistake? But then we realized we don't have to make this decision on our own. We know our beneficiaries, the patrol coordinators. All we have to do is talk to them and listen. And that's what we did. We talked to the patrol coordinators in LALB, in San Francisco, in San Diego, and asked them, you have scheduling, you have prediction, which one matters more to you? And they all said prediction. So we knew what our next path was, and we chose a predictive digital map.
So we began our third MVP with the idea that we would be able to replace intuition, that we would be able to predict future locations of these vessels smuggling drugs. We, however, quickly realized that this was simply not feasible, that there were too many human variables and not enough data to fully capture all human patterns. But we realized that once we came back to the drawing board, that these patrol coordinators have years of experience, that they have an intuition of where these vessels are likely to be. That instead of replacing the intuition, if there is some way that we can augment the intuition, where they can test their intuitions and hypotheses, that we could perhaps increase the numbers of interdicted vessels. So our third MVP, we took in over 1,000 data points of successful interdictions and plotted them along the map of the California coast. Now what you're seeing is actual interdiction data, where each blue dot represents a cluster of interdiction. If you click on a blue dot, it zooms in until each point represents a single successful interdiction. If you click on a single point, it brings up relevant information such as location, vessel type, weather, sea state, etc. So we showed this to our beneficiaries, and they generally liked the direction of where we're going. When we went up to Sector Golden Gate, a commanding officer said, "Hell yeah, I would want this." When we showed it to a chief warrant officer in LALB, he said, "This is impressive. Give me colors. I want to know where the hot spots are." This was, however, still only a bronze medal. To get to that gold medal, we heard over and over from our interviewees that they wanted two main features, that being color coding and filtering. So we asked ourselves, what is the fastest way to obtain an interactive, filterable playback map? And so Sam Jackson, the former head TA for H4D, introduced us to Kepler, a visualization package that we could plot successful interdiction data on and filter and color code features that we wanted. So this is interdiction data plotted along the California coast, where we have the ability to filter out specific features, and we have the ability to play back interdiction data for the past 8 or 9 years.
So after this, and getting 2 demo calls with Sector San Diego and LALB, we think we're closer to a gold medal. And we realized that this is something that they could use right now. Lieutenant Commander Smith from LALB told us, patrollers could take what you have today and use it to do patrols better. And they will use it today. And even an intel officer at San Diego, who's their primary GIS specialist, looking through data like this, told us, this is a lot faster than what I can do myself. And other units that don't have specialists like me could really benefit. So we're really excited to hand this off to LALB sector and see it deployed over the next 3 months, staying on as consultants to look at how to represent data streams in the tool and inform its capabilities. And after 3 months, consider the possibility of more major work and funding. There are so many people who made all this work possible. The teaching team, our mentors, Craig, Donnie, and Marco, and our sponsors, Jack Smith and Assad, right over there, and all the folks who greeted us and helped us see their operations on all 5 sites we went to. It's been amazing. Thank you all so much. And please watch this short video we have overviewing all this.